Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is MUSAU, Matt Meacham Jr., reporting from the beautiful country of Rwanda. I know the last time that I broadcast, I was talking about the formula E equal MC squared. And I think in that last discussion, I was able to isolate two variables. The two variables that are already isolated are but okay, I'm trying to counteract the formula E equal MC squared. And I'm working on a personal formula, a formula that I'm working on that goes in reverse. Remember, we said that formula E equal MC squared actually led up to the atomic bomb, and then led up to this particular period that we're in history right now. We're in the nuclear part of history, where men will begin to use nuclear weapons in war. It is my contention that the nuclear weapon evolved from the formula E equal MC squared. A formula was isolated by the German scientist Albert Einstein. And since he had isolated that formula, I figured that I should be able to isolate another formula. And that formula would be for the preservation of mankind, for the preservation of humanity. Now, as I said when I first started this broadcast, I said that had isolated two variables already. One of those variables was I for infinity. The other one was L for love. I think there's another one that I've thought about, and I think that is communication. So right now, I had to put another variable. I had to put another variable in my formula as I began to delve into my, excuse me, delve into my mind to deal with the issues of saving humanity. But I also said I'll discuss many other things in my broadcast. And now I'm going to call two names here, and I'm not going to elaborate on the names of these individuals. But what happened was I got some, I reacted to some news reports that I gathered on these individuals. And I don't like to talk about individuals per se, because sometimes when we say things, we may say the wrong thing because of the knowledge that we have. But I'm going to mention two individuals, and then I'm going to go into another discussion. And maybe, just maybe, I may pursue a discussion on the two individuals I am about to name. One is Muammar Gaddafi, the former prime minister, the former king, the former leader of the country of Libya in Africa. I'll say it again. And I have issues. I may not be pronouncing uh, this man's name correctly, but I'm gonna try it again. Mama Gaddafi. Mama Gaddafi. I think his last name ends with the G, like Ga. You say Mama Gaddafi. Then there's another name that his name starts with the G. Bill Gates. Oh my Lord, Bill Gates. So we're talking about two G's. One G is Muammar Gaddafi. and the other G is Bill Gates. Both of those individuals that I would like to comment on. It's quite interesting. Their last names begin with G, Ga. But we're going to leave you in suspense. And maybe it may be a reason for you to come back to my broadcast to see where am I going with that. But the thing is, my concern is about the preservation of humanity. And there's another individual that I'm going to throw out there. And perhaps I may make comments. Let's see. There's something going on in Kenya. There's something going on in Kenya. I found it quite interesting. I was in Kenya when, I was in Kenya for the last 10 years. I'm not in Kenya now. I'm in the beautiful country of Rwanda at this very moment. But basically, I lived in Kenya, and I sort of consider Kenya as something like a second home. But something interesting is happening in Kenya. Now, there's a president by the name of Ruto, and I'm not very good at pronouncing names, and I don't. If I pronounce the name wrong, it's not because I'm trying to do it purposely. It's because of my own ignorance. But there's a man by the name of Ruto, who's the president of Kenya. And then there's another name, Odinga. God, there we go again. Odinga. We got that G sound. Interesting. And that just came, and it just came. Remember, I said that I wanted to deal with personalities that came across my mind where which put a motivation within me. And I'm always reading and studying, and I always want to find out things. And it's just that I had found out certain things, one about Mr. Bill Gates, and then I also found out a few things about Mr. Muammar Gaddafi. But I don't know. But now Odinga. Interesting. Muammar Gaddafi. Bill Gates. We got the G. I study linguistics. And if you read any of my books, I guess of all the books that I've written, I think about 20% of my books are basically books. They are books of linguistics. Now, if you go through any of my books, especially the ones that are called MUSAU Corner, and these books are basically written for children. I deal with about 5, 6, maybe about 7 or 8 different languages. And I dissect Russian, Greek, French, Portuguese, Swahili. I deal with a lot of languages in my writings. So I'm really into linguistics. I enjoy studying languages. So maybe that's the thing that motivated me or is driving me to come to a certain type of discussion. And the thing is, now I've isolated 3 individuals, 3 present-day individuals. And it's that some coincidence that they have an equal linguistical value. Gates, Gaddafi, Odinga, that Ga sound. So I think somewhere down the line, I may begin to make statements. But see, the thing is, I don't want to say the wrong thing, basically because thou shalt not bear false witness against our neighbor. So the thing is, I think in what is happening here is that We believe things by what other people tell us about other people. And I must confess that I'm a human being, just like anyone else. Up until a few days ago, I had reservations about Mr. Bill Gates. Basically, my reservations were because the as the things that I heard that he was doing in Africa, it seemed to me that the things that he was doing, maybe they were, I think they were profitable. He's a businessman, but then at the same time, whatever it was that he was doing was something that was, as I understood the reports said that they were negative. So because the reports about Bill Gates that I got that was going on in Africa, and it not that I were the reasons why I did not study Mr. Gates. And sometimes we should study because sometimes people tell lies about people, and sometimes people may be honorable, and then other people may try to dishonor their honor. Now, where am I going? Well, we on Bill Gates right now, and I'll make a comment, but I have to do further investigations before I make any more statements. I must confess, the reports that I got about of Mr. Gates were negative, and there were many reports, and they were all negative. And then, well, I never really, so I just accepted those reports as being possible truths. I said, well, just like like I said, I am a human being, like everyone else is a human being. So I would not do research on Mr. Gates. I would just say, oh, he's done all these things. He's done all these things that seem to me are negative. But then I turn to a YouTube network, and his beautiful daughter is is getting ready to marry a black man. Oh, his beautiful daughter. I saw the picture. They wouldn't show us the picture of the black man or the African that she's hooked up with, but his daughter is getting ready to hook up with a black man. That's a whoa. She's a beautiful girl too. Now I'm saying to myself, now all of these years, and it's been years, all I have ever heard were negative reports from people of African descent, which said that Mr. Gates was under some type of conspiracy to, uh, well, but basically to annihilate African communities. That basically that was that. I'm not making that. I am not making that. Uh, I am not claiming that that is the case. I'm saying those are the reports that I got, and based on those reports, well, I just said, well, I don't want to have anything to do with Mr. Gates, but I find it quite interesting. If this man is so anti-black, wow, his daughter is marrying a black man like myself. So the thing is, I don't want to. So I walk on tender grounds. I don't want to say the wrong thing because God is my judge. I must do the right thing. So the thing is, well, now that that revelation was made to me, I think I would begin to do uh, my own personal research on Mr. Gates and see what is going on. I mean, my goodness, if this man is so anti-black, why is his daughter getting ready to marry a black man like myself? Well, I said one thing, but maybe because if he was spending so much time in Africa and he was taking his daughter with it, I guess she said, "Wow, it was some good looking men. I think I want me a black man. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I don't know." But now, what I'll do now as I began to do my own personal research. Because it's a crime. It's a crime to spread false information. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. So I don't know anything. I don't know anything about Mr. Gates, except that he's a multi-billionaire. That he's a very rich man. So the thing is that that's all I know. But then I do know that he spends a lot of time in Africa, and maybe that's what happened. Maybe one of them black dudes in one of these African countries snatched his daughter, and now she's getting ready to marry a black man, Mr. Bill Gates' daughters. So his daughter's getting ready to marry a black man. So I'm saying, well what? He must not have been teaching anti-black within his within his family. Or maybe he was. I hear maybe he was, or maybe he wasn't, or maybe his daughter just got snatched. Maybe some black man snatched her because he spent so much time in Africa. Well, I know one thing. If he spends a lot of times in Africa, you know what that means to me? At least I know this before I do my research. If Mr. Gates has spent a lot of time in Africa, Mr. Gates is a wise man because Africa is a place to be. So that's all I know. But then that just came as something that hit me as I was going through the news, just like any other human being. You're looking on the YouTube, or you're looking at your phone, or you're reading the paper, or you're watching TV. And then all of a sudden, boom, Mr. Bill Gates' daughter is getting ready to marry a black man in California. Oh my God, what is happening in this world? This guy from England, I forget his name. He married this. They one a long time ago. They say if you got just a spot of black blood in you black. So there's this British thing. I can't think of the prince. He married this black woman. You know, she's mixed, but they say that if you got black blood in you, that makes you black automatically. So this world is becoming very complicated, very complicated. So the thing is, I don't want to say the wrong thing because I don't want to be punished by God. So the thing is, I have to do more research on certain matters before I make comments. Now, here's another matter that came up to me that I felt that I should make comment on. Mama Gaddafi. And I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And if you've been following me, you know that I have issues with saying words. But the thing is, if I say it, maybe I understand how I'm saying it. Muammar Gaddafi. He's a former leader of Libya. And if you remember that he was overthrown, and they treated this man pitifully. I mean, what? For many, many years, this man ruled Libya. And of course, Libya progressed. And they did many great things. And Muammar Gaddafi, he made many financial contributions on the African continent to help improve areas of Africa. But then look how he died. He died like a dog. His own people, they pulled him out of a sewer and they beat him to death. And this man, Muammar Gaddafi, had done so many great things in Libya and in Africa. And then that's how why a man who's done so many great things, why would he have to go down the way that he went down? It was worse than a beggar. They pulled him out of they pulled him out of a sewer and they beat him to death. Muammar Gaddafi. What a terrible way to go. Now I'm asking myself, why? Why would God bring such a punishment on a man who was rumored to have done so much goodness, so much greatness? Well, I know when I was really into the Bible, I can't remember the books, but it's somewhere in the Bible that it says, okay, let's say all the time you are existing on earth, if you are doing good, if you're doing good, but at the latter part of your existence, you begin to do bad. Now, please, if you study the Bible, you study. I don't know exactly where it came from, but I know it stuck with me. And as I understood it, it was this: if during your existence, in your early existence on earth, if you're doing good during the whole period that you're existing, but at the latter part, you begin to do things, you begin to do evil things, you are judged not by the goodness that you did before, but you're judged by the evilness that you end up with. Now, wow, yeah, yeah, ministers and preachers and readers of the Bible, please find it. It's there. I promise you, it's there. It's just my way of that I'm trying to present it may not be exactly how the Bible presented it. Well, okay, so where am I going? I want to talk about Muammar Gaddafi. He did some beautiful things in Africa. He did beautiful things in Libya. But now I remember that was an Ethiopian maid who worked for Muammar Gaddafi. There was a report that one of Muammar Gaddafi's nieces, she poured boiling hot water on this Ethiopian beauty. I guess she was something like a housemaid, but just out of the clear blue sky. I don't know what the housemaid was doing in Muammar Gaddafi's palace. I don't know why God brought that punishment on her, but it was one of Muammar Gaddafi's closest relatives poured boiling hot water on this beautiful Ethiopian queen, lady, and just destroyed her figure. And I saw it. I saw it. It was broadcast. I mean, I saw it. It was all. If you were paying any attention, it was on the news. It can be. You can find that. You can do your own research. So I'm saying, what motivated Muammar Gaddafi's niece to pour boiling hot water on a housemaid? I don't know. I wasn't there, but the fact is, it happened. So okay, all right. Now I go and I do research on Mr. Muammar Gaddafi, and we go in and they talk about after they conquered his city and conquered his palace. They found literature in Muammar Gaddafi's bedroom of gay sex. You do your own research. They found literature of homosexuals, gay sex in Muammar Gaddafi's private rooms. Okay, I don't know. Look, I'm only saying what I'm reading in reports. So I'm saying, what was Mr. Muammar Gaddafi doing for God to bring such a punishment on him? They pulled him out of a sewer, Muammar Gaddafi. And these hoodlums, they beat him to death and they shot him. So what was Mr. Muammar Gaddafi doing for this terrible ending, for him to have such a terrible ending? I study, I research. I try not to draw conclusions I just try to stay, I just stay a distance, and I just study, and I meditate. So I'm very particular what I say and how I say it. But the thing is, I'm saying you do your own research. Study what was Muammar Gaddafi? What was he doing? Why would God bring that punishment on him? Of course, he had bodyguards of so-called virgins. He would go into classrooms and choose young girls to be his part of his bodyguards. But I guess what has happened is when sometimes I guess if you have so much power and you know that you can buy this or you can buy that, you can buy sex, you can buy girls, then I guess I think that leads into corruption. And maybe because he had so much and he was being bored with all that God had gave him, and he was not happy with all that God had gave him, maybe that made him move into areas of moral corruption. These are my concepts based on my understanding of life. So what I'll do before I make any type of judgments, and I try not to make judgments on men per se. I would prefer to make judgments on situations because I am only a man. I'm only a man. I am not perfect. Who am I? But an angel of God. Okay, now we're getting closer and closer to home. Odinga. We're talking about 3 G's. Gates. Oh my God. Gaddafi. Now we're talking about the Honorable Odinga in the country of Kenya. What is going on in Kenya? What is going on? They just elected a president, and now the opponent has raised up against the president of the Republic of Kenya. I know nothing about Ruto. I have never met him. And I have never met Mr. Odinga. But I'm studying this. What is going on? What is going on in Kenya? My goodness, what is going on? And all I could think of was Odinga. Mr. Odinga. What is going on? Okay, now, this is my view. Mr. Odinga. Let there be peace. Be a man, Mr. Odinga. Let there be peace. Kenya does not need revolution. Mr. Odinga, please, if anyone hears and can transport this message, Mr. Odinga, please think about what you're doing. Mr. Odinga, I was in Kenya when you were basically competing to be the president of Kenya. I remember, I can't think of the Kenyan that was forced to leave Kenya. I can't think of the guy's name, but I think he's in Kenya right now. I think he's back there. But you had formed an alliance with him. And then at the last, I remember this, Mr. Odinga. I remember you had formed an alliance. I can't think of the lawyer who was actually forced to leave. The fact that they actually, I think the president who was the president of the country at the time literally forced a lawyer to leave Kenya, and they sent him to Canada. And the thing is, I can't think of his name, but I remember when I was in Kenya, Mr. Odinga and this guy were allies. And then all of a sudden, at the last moment, Mr. Odinga pulled out of the alliance that they had and went to the other side. Now, I also remember that that they had in Kenya that they would have the candidates to come on TV, and they would all, debate the issues. Mr. Odinga, he did not report. He did not report to come to talk about the issues. But it would seem to me that if you're going to be the president of a nation, that you want your people to know where you stand. But Mr. Odinga, he refused to be at this debate. This is a debate where all the candidates would sit and they would discuss issues. But Mr. Odinga, he did not report. Now, Mr. Odinga, I think you should have reported. Now, Mr. Odinga loses the election. Mr. Odinga was so confident, so sure that he was going to be elected president that he didn't have to go and report to the people of the nation. But now, Mr. Odinga is causing disturbance. Whereas Mr. Odinga should be he should be promoting peace. So that's where my issue is. Mr. Odinga, I would say, promote peace. You don't need to demonstrate. Respect the president. I don't know Mr. Ruto, never met him. And I don't have any special feelings against him or for him. But I'm saying for the principle, for the nation of Kenya. Mr. Odinga, step down your comments. Let this man, let him lead. Give him the opportunity. Let the people make the choice. For we are all men. We are all mankind. And right now, we, the African people, are in our golden years. All we have to do now is to do the right thing. Step those people out the street. Let Ruto put in the work. Get those people out the street. Mr. Odinga, sit down. Oh man, sit on your mansion, drink tea, enjoy the good life. Walk on your farm. Go hug your grandchildren. Live in peace. Give this man an opportunity. We, the African people, we need your guidance. Set an example. Set an example for all of us. Why not just let Mr. Ruto, give him a chance? And if he goes in the wrong direction, then God is the judge of all things. So, Mr. Odinga, I say to you, relax. Get out the streets. Go home to your mansion, to your beautiful family, to your beautiful wife, to your grandchildren. Enjoy life. Teach them the right way. For time is short. And God judges. God is the ultimate judge. So, as I remember reading the scripture, and I'm not a minister, but I do remember that God, those last things that we do prior to our leaving this earth are the main principles that we are judged on. Do we burn in hell or do we lie in heaven? So, right now, I'm going to end my lecture. But the thing is, I am truly concerned with E equal MC squared because I have come up with another variable. I got the variable for L for love, then I got I for infinity, and then I just realized while I was in meditation, there is another variable. Einstein only used 3. His was E equals MC, three variables. Einstein had E equal MC squared. Now, what I have now is I for infinitive, L for love, and I think I must have come up with my third variable. That variable is communication. So you said, what am I talking about? What am I talking about? I'm talking about the preservation of humanity. I'm saying that I am working on a formula. This formula is to counteract the formula that was isolated by Mr. Albert Einstein. Why am I trying to isolate a formula? Because Einstein's theory is a theory that's responsible for the atomic bomb. Einstein's theory is responsible for the hydrogen bomb. Einstein's theory is responsible for man going into contemplations where one man can sit and say, I can kill 100 million people just by pushing a button. So what I'm doing is working on a formula to keep that madman, to keep that lunatic from pushing that button. Well, 100 million human souls will perish. Now, I think I've come up with my three variables. I for infinitive, L for love, and C for communication. Einstein had three variables. E for energy, E equal MC squared. E for energy, M for mass, and C, the speed of light. Okay, Einstein, I hope you do not turn over in your grave. I got my three variables. And now I am going to work daily. I am going to go through contemplations and meditations. And I'm going to take my variables and I'm going to play with my variables like you did yours. And I am going to come up with a formula to save humanity. This is MUSAU. MUSAU MattmeachamJR. Signing off in the beautiful country of Rwanda.